Grape cultivation and harvesting. Key practices for producing plump, high-quality clusters. When it comes to the art of farming, few crops showcase the grower's dedication and patience quite like a vineyard of grapes. To achieve those glossy, well-shaped clusters with vibrant color and high sugar content, every stage of the process, from selecting the variety, managing the canopy, controlling irrigation, all the way to the precise moment of harvest, demands both sound knowledge and careful observation. First, the choice of grape variety is a fundamental cornerstone. Your selection depends on your ultimate goal. Are you growing grapes for fresh consumption, preserves, juice, or for winemaking? Each type has distinct requirements for climate, soil, and management. For instance, table grapes such as Flame seedless or Thompson seedless prioritize crisp texture, mild sweetness, and bright skin color, and therefore thrive with abundant sunlight throughout the growing season. Meanwhile, wine grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot benefit from notable day-night temperature swings that help concentrate acidity and develop their characteristic aromas. Soil conditions play a critical role in grape quality. Grapevines prefer loose, well-drained soils. The ideal pH typically ranges from 6.0 to 6.5. If the soil is too acidic or too alkaline, uptake of key micronutrients such as iron, manganese, and zinc can be impaired, leading to yellowing leaves, smaller berries, and less intense flavor. Before planting, it's advisable to amend the soil by incorporating well-decomposed organic manure and agricultural lime dolomite to help stabilize pH and enrich beneficial soil microbes. Planting usually takes place in late winter or early spring, while vines are still dormant and not yet sprouting. It's important to dig deep planting holes, setting the graft union about 15 centimeters above the soil surface to protect against crown rot during heavy rains. The soil should then be gently backfilled and lightly compacted to ensure good root contact. As young shoots emerge, canopy training and pruning become especially crucial. A healthy vineyard requires thoughtful shaping so that sunlight can reach each leaf and developing cluster evenly. If the canopy is too dense, the shaded interior produces less sugar, and moisture trapped inside becomes a haven for fungal diseases. Pruning off the lower leaves and removing unnecessary suckers helps channel nutrients to the main stem and fruiting shoots. Irrigation is another pivotal factor in managing grape quality. During the critical period of berry formation, from after fruit set until the onset of ripening veraison, the vines need sufficient water to size up the berries uniformly. However, once berries begin to color and accumulate sugars, reducing irrigation slightly encourages higher sugar concentration, thicker skins, and improved storage quality post-harvest. This delicate water management requires experience to avoid overwatering, which dilutes flavors or causes fruit splitting. Nutritionally, grapes are particularly sensitive to potassium K deficiency, which directly impacts sweetness and color development. During rapid berry growth, supplemental potassium through soil application or foliar feeding with potassium humate is essential. In addition, maintaining adequate phosphorus P supports root health, calcium Co helps minimize berry cracking, and magnesium megagram ensures smooth photosynthesis. When clusters reach full size and start to color uniformly, targeted leaf removal around the fruit zone becomes a valuable practice. This allows filtered sunlight to reach the berries, enhancing skin pigmentation. However, excessive thinning can expose clusters to sunburn, especially under intense midday rays. Experienced growers often opt for light, strategic thinning that maintains a partial canopy to shade the fruit indirectly. As harvest approaches, growers routinely monitor Brix levels, a measure of sugar concentration, using a handheld refractometer. For table grapes destined for market, the optimal Brix is usually above 16 degrees, ensuring a high sweetness level paired with firm texture for better handling and shelf life. Harvesting should be done in the cool of the early morning when berries are still turgid and less prone to moisture loss. Sharp pruning shears should be used to cut clusters with a small portion of the main stem, about 3 to 4 centimeters, and clusters should be handled gently into baskets lined with straw or soft foam. Immediately post-harvest, grapes should be moved into shaded, well-ventilated areas, ideally kept below 25 degrees Celsius, to reduce respiration and dehydration. Before packing for shipment or cold storage, a gentle rinse with ozone-treated water or a mild saline solution helps remove surface, dust and fungal spores, prolonging storage life. By meticulously controlling every step, from soil health and nutrient management to canopy architecture, precise watering, and careful harvest technique, growers can produce grape clusters that are uniform, vividly colored, with tight skins and fresh green stems that command premium prices in the market. This is also a well-earned point of pride for farmers who have patiently tended their vines through 7 or 8 long months from the first buds to the final, sweet fruits in hand. Once grapes have been harvested at optimal ripeness, the way they are handled over the following hours and days plays a decisive role in maintaining their quality and extending shelf life. Grapes are particularly sensitive to physical injury and water loss after being picked. Even minor bruising can become an entry point for fungal pathogens such as Botrytis cinerea, commonly known as grain mold, which can spread rapidly through entire crates if conditions are warm and humid. This is why it is standard best practice to harvest grapes during the coolest hours of the day, ideally early morning, and move freshly cut clusters promptly out of the field into shaded, well-ventilated staging areas. Direct sunlight on harvested clusters accelerates respiration, causes berries to soften prematurely, and increases the risk of dehydration. Before packing for sale or cold storage, grapes should be inspected for damaged or diseased berries. Sorting out clusters with any signs of rot or mechanical injury protects the rest of the harvest. In many vineyards, growers also apply a gentle post-harvest rinse using ozone-infused water or a very mild sodium chloride solution to reduce surface microbial load. This step must be done quickly and with well-drained baskets to avoid excess moisture clinging to the stems, which could promote mold during storage. Proper packaging is equally critical. Grapes are typically packed in shallow, ventilated cartons or lugs lined with soft paper or foam to cushion the clusters. Keeping the stems intact and the berries tightly attached ensures better appearance and minimizes handling damage. For longer transport or storage periods, pre-cooling grapes to around 0-2 degrees Celsius slows down their respiration rate significantly, effectively extending marketable life from a few days to several weeks. Even after the fruit has left the vines, the vineyard itself still demands close attention. Late-season management can strongly influence both vine health and next year's productivity. One key aspect is post-harvest irrigation. Although irrigation is often reduced before harvest to concentrate sugars after picking is complete, moderate watering helps the vines recover, rehydrate their tissues, and continue photosynthesizing to build carbohydrate reserves in the roots and canes. These reserves are essential for supporting strong bud burst and early shoot growth in the next season. At this stage, a balanced foliar nutrient application, often containing nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, plus trace elements like zinc and boron, can be beneficial. It strengthens the vines heading into dormancy, ensuring the formation of robust overwintering buds. However, care must be taken not to overapply nitrogen late in the season, as this can lead to excessive, tender growth that is vulnerable to frost damage. Pest and disease pressures also require vigilant management right through to leaf fall. Mites, leafhoppers, and various fungal pathogens can still be active in the canopy, and ignoring these problems late in the cycle can mean a heavier inoculum surviving to infect new shoots in spring. It is advisable to maintain a clean canopy by removing old, diseased leaves and to continue protective fungicide applications as needed, strictly following recommended pre-harvest and post-harvest intervals. Once the leaves naturally senesce and drop, vineyard sanitation becomes a cornerstone of sustainable production. Collecting and destroying fallen leaves, pruning off and removing diseased wood, and clearing debris around the base of vines all help to reduce overwintering sites for pests and fungal spores. In regions prone to trunk diseases like Utipidebak or Esker, careful pruning to remove infected arms can significantly lower the pathogen load in the vineyard. Structural maintenance of the trellis system should not be overlooked. The period after harvest is an ideal time to inspect posts, wires, and clips. Retensioning sagging wires, replacing broken stakes, and securing any loose ties prevents problems during the next vigorous growth phase when shoots and clusters add considerable weight. When it comes to pruning, timing is strategic. While some growers begin rough pruning soon after leaf fall to reduce vine bulk, the final detailed pruning is often delayed until closer to bud burst. This helps avoid undue exposure to winter injury and allows time to assess how well the buds mature over the dormant period. Proper pruning shapes the vine, controls crop load, and ensures good air and light penetration in the coming season, which are fundamental for fruit quality and disease prevention. In climates with risks of winter freeze, additional protective measures might be warranted. In some vineyards, growers mound soil around the graft unions called hilling up to insulate this critical point from low temperatures. This simple practice can mean the difference between minor cane damage and losing entire plants. As the cycle completes and the vineyard enters true dormancy, many growers take this quieter period to plan ahead, reviewing field notes, yield data, and quality assessments from the past season offers valuable insight into which practices paid off and where adjustments are needed. Perhaps a block that underperformed requires more organic matter in the soil, or sections that struggled with mildew need a revised canopy strategy. Ultimately, grape cultivation is a long-term partnership with the land, demanding both scientific understanding and intuitive judgment honed by years of observation. Each growing cycle, from soil preparation, planting, canopy management, precise irrigation, careful harvesting, to thorough post-harvest stewardship, builds upon the last. By paying close attention even after the fruit is off the vine, you not only protect this year's profits, but lay a stronger foundation for many fruitful seasons to come. As the vineyard settles into dormancy, one of the most impactful tasks a grower undertakes is pruning. Proper pruning does far more than simply keep vines tidy. It directly shapes the balance between vegetative growth and fruit production, determines cluster exposure to light, and influences both grape quality and disease resilience in the coming season. Pruning strategies vary significantly depending on the age of the vines. For young plantings in their first 3 to 4 years, the primary goal is to develop a strong, well-positioned permanent structure, typically a trunk with 1 or 2 horizontal cordons or arms. This stage is foundational. Over-pruning too early can stunt vine vigor, while under-pruning can allow excessive weak growth that later requires harsh correction. Careful selection of the strongest shoots each year to become permanent arms sets up the framework for decades of productive life. Once vines mature and reach full bearing age, usually after their 5th year, pruning shifts focus to regulating crop load and removing fruitful wood. For cordon-trained systems, this involves selecting healthy 1-year-old canes that grew in the previous season to be cut back to short spurs of typically 2 to 3 buds. These spurs will push new shoots bearing the current season's fruit. Over time, strategic replacement of older spurs ensures that fruiting positions do not drift too far from the cordon, maintaining an orderly, accessible canopy. In cane prune systems, growers leave a small number of longer canes, often with 8 to 15 buds, tied along the trellis wire, while removing older wood and excess canes. This method is commonly used for varieties where fruitful buds are found further out along the cane rather than close to the base. The decision on whether to use spur or cane pruning depends on both variety and local climate. For example, in colder regions with more winter kill risk, cane pruning often proves more reliable. Pruning cots are best made clean and angled to shed water, helping minimize the chance of fungal pathogens like Utipolotta entering through fresh wounds. In vineyards with a history of trunk diseases, many growers apply wound protectants or biofungicide pastes to freshly cut surfaces to reduce infection. Beyond pruning, long-term vineyard success relies heavily on soil health, an area that deserves every grower's close attention. Grapevines are perennial, often occupying the same soil for decades, which makes maintaining and improving soil vitality an ongoing priority. Cover cropping between vine rows is one of the most effective tools for enhancing soil structure, preventing erosion, and increasing organic matter. Depending on climate and objectives, growers may seed annual legumes such as vetch or clover to fix atmospheric nitrogen, or use grass mixes to build biomass and stabilize soil. These covers are typically mowed or lightly incorporated into the soil before flowering to avoid competition for water while still returning valuable organic material to the root zone. Composting is another cornerstone practice. Applying well-matured compost improves soil tilth, enhances water retention, and feeds a diverse microbial community that supports vine health. Many quality-focused vineyards produce their own compost from prunings, grape pumice, and manure, closing nutrient loops within the farm. Incorporating biochar into compost further helps sequester carbon and provides habitat for beneficial microbes. Biological soil amendments, such as mycorrhizal fungi inoculants or compost teas, are increasingly used to stimulate root health and improve nutrient uptake. These symbiotic fungi extend the effective reach of vine roots, helping access phosphorus and trace elements otherwise locked in the soil matrix. Over time, such practices contribute to a more resilient vineyard ecosystem, better able to withstand drought or disease stress. No comprehensive vineyard management plan would be complete without a robust, integrated approach to pest and disease control. Integrated pest management (IPM) weaves together cultural, biological, and chemical tactics with an emphasis on prevention and minimal ecological disruption. A fundamental pillar of IPM is regular, detailed scouting. By walking the vineyards systematically and inspecting both canopy and clusters, growers can catch early signs of issues such as powdery mildew lesions, leafhopper feeding, or the presence of grape berry moth larvae. Early detection allows targeted interventions, often with less aggressive measures, thereby reducing the need for broad-spectrum treatments. Canopy management plays a surprisingly large role in pest and disease suppression. An open, well-pruned canopy improves air circulation and light penetration, reducing humidity levels around clusters that favor fungal growth. Proper shoot positioning and judicious leaf removal also make it easier for biological or chemical sprays to reach target surfaces effectively. Beneficial insects form another critical line of defense. Lady beetles, lacewings, and predatory mites naturally keep populations of leafhoppers, spider mites, and scale insects in check. Preserving these allies often means reducing or carefully timing insecticide applications to avoid collateral harm. Some vineyards go further by planting insectary strips, rows of flowering plants that provide nectar and habitat to sustain beneficial insect populations through the season. When chemical controls are necessary, selecting products that are soft on beneficials and rotating modes of action helps slow the development of resistance. Many progressive vineyards now incorporate biological fungicides based on living microbes that outcompete or directly inhibit pathogens into their spray programs, complementing traditional materials. Finally, off-season sanitation is an often underappreciated aspect of IPM. Removing mummified berries, cleaning up dropped leaves, and properly disposing of infected would reduce overwintering sites for pests and diseases. Such practices help ensure that each new season begins with a cleaner slate, requiring fewer interventions later. In sum, successful grape production is not built on any single practice, but on the thoughtful integration of many, a precise pruning tailored to vine age and health, a living soil rich with organic matter and microbial allies, and a pest management strategy that views the vineyard as a balanced ecosystem. When these elements work together, they enable not only larger, higher quality harvests, but also a vineyard that thrives year after year, delivering both economic returns and the quiet satisfaction of stewarding a resilient piece of land. In the end, cultivating grapes to their highest potential is an endeavor that calls for patience, keen observation, and an unwavering respect for the intricate needs of the vine. Each carefully chosen variety, each well-timed pruning cut, every measured application of compost or attentive pass through the rows is a quiet investment in the vineyard's future. By nurturing healthy soils rich with organic matter and beneficial life, by guiding canopies that balance light and air, and by fostering an ecosystem where pests and their natural predators coexist in check, growers lay the foundation for vines that not only yield abundantly but also weather the inevitable stresses of climate and disease. No two seasons are ever exactly alike. Weather shifts, markets fluctuate, and even the vines themselves respond uniquely from year to year. But through disciplined practices, supported by both science and generations of field wisdom, growers can build resilient systems that consistently bring forth fruit of exceptional quality. In doing so, they ensure that the land remains vigorous and productive, season after season. With each harvest, there is both reward and the renewed promise of what thoughtful care will yield in the cycles yet to come.